These questions, unsurprisingly, come into groups, and similar themes seem to arise. So let me just take one here to start on the theme about this God that you've been speaking of, that you say you believe in. Michael Donald, I think it is, has asked this question: is God's demand for constant worship not a bit narcissistic?
A bit narcissistic? No, I don't think it is. Certainly in terms of Christian understanding of God doesn't need anything from us. God is perfect and completely self-contained in every way. So why does he demand worship? Well, according to Christian understanding of this, God has created us in his image. He has created us for a relationship with him. There is something unique about humans, according to the Christian understanding, in that God has a special purpose for our existence. And the way we truly live, or should truly live our lives, the very purpose for which we were created, this is a subject actually I haven't touched on. In terms of the purpose of our existence, Christianity tells us what this is. It's to be united with God. It's to live in communion with God. And in terms of worship, worship is recognizing God for who he is. It's recognizing the source of goodness, the source of love, the source of morality. And so worship completes us. It doesn't add anything to God. God doesn't need our worship. We need to worship God.
Linked into this question, perhaps if I could just ask a follow-up, someone has raised, called Alex. Do you think that God will condemn good and moral people to hell?
This is a very big subject as well. So let me try to comment on it briefly. I think we need to be very careful what we mean by hell. If we have in our minds the idea of a medieval torture chamber, then I think the answer is no, because I don't think that that's what hell is. What I want to look at is whether the notion of hell makes sense. According to atheism, death is the end. Bertrand Russell said that when I die I shall rot, and actually maybe I haven't quite got that right, but I'll leave it. That will be the end, basically. I shall be no more. There's no final justice. Death simply is the end of our existence. According to Christianity, that's not true. We were made in God's image, and his purpose, as I just said, is for us to live in relationship with God. But God doesn't force that relationship. If we choose not to embrace that relationship, then God, in effect, leaves us to choose our own way. And choosing to go our own way, choosing not to embrace the source of goodness and life and love and mercy and forgiveness, that's ultimately what hell is. It's being separated from God, the source of all those things. So hell is not something that God ever desired or planned, and he doesn't want anyone to end up there. But God also respects our freedom, and that's why hell exists.